revolutionary micro machines that will be the workhorses of any world weather control system. They're MEMS, micro electromechanical sensors.
GEMS are global environmental MEMS sensors, a concept that we have come up with that deals with a massive wireless network of airborne probes.
We take you inside the infamous and mysterious temple. New footage received by O'Keefe Media Group gives a detailed look at the interior. No one has ever seen this before. Here we go. You are looking inside this mysterious building, and the walls are covered with what appears to be a marble textured finish. And if you look up at the top of this mysterious temple, you'll see what appears to be a detailed celestial painting filled with astrological figures. Despite his alleged vast wealth, the temple seems like a cheap illusion, a set in a stage play that still needs an ending.
Have you all seen what happens at the airport now if you do not have the real ID, the new license? This is totally dystopian. So first, when Resilient LA got to the airport, the first thing they did when they found out she did not have it was they took her and moved her to the side for like 10 to 15 minutes for everybody to see. So basically, act like you are some sort of criminal or something and separate you. Look how subliminal this is. They give them a red sheet of paper, red of all colors, talking about how they are non-compliant. Think about modern day schools, how they mimic modern day prisons, even like getting in line and doing certain things. It's all subliminal. And then the swabbing of the hands, almost like frisking, like again, like you have been pulled aside and dehumanized by the system that you are not going to walk with. The craziest part is this, not only did the whole ordeal take like an hour, they also swiped her phone the same way they swiped her hands. Just think for a minute of what kind of technology they could have and what they could be getting from the phone. I guarantee there's more going on than meets the eye. Get with the system or we will alienate you and make you so uncomfortable to the point where you just get with whatever we say.
Well, apparently Bill Gates is unveiling a new mRNA lipid nanoparticle jab for billions of cows. And this is going to be specifically for dairy cattle only. I haven't seen any talk through these articles about beef cattle at all. It's supposed to help combat the bird flu that we've seen going through last year and this year. And apparently we have no talk about it now, but now we need an mRNA jab for it. So let me know what y'all think about this down in the comments below. Make sure, share it around, spread the word, spread the news. This going into our food system. Raw milk trying to be banned in states. It's kind of crazy times that are going on, but I'm going to be posting the link of these articles in my bio. You guys can go check them out, read through the entire thing. Let me know your thoughts on it.
When they involve someone we oppose, because the stakes are simply too high to do otherwise. Whether it's running for the most powerful nation on earth or sitting in the world's greatest deliberative body, the job requires clarity, strength, and stamina. And the American people deserve to know without partisan distortion.
The first ever permanent facial recognition cameras are coming to London. They'll scan faces and match them to a database of criminals, hoping to speed up catching suspects in the city and help tackle a rising crime rate. But campaigners are warning that as the first democratic country in the world to do this, it could be the first step towards a dystopian nightmare.
I'm sure most are aware that this building is the Pentagon. What I'm sure most aren't aware of is the two symbols in relation to each other that coincidentally fit. Looking at the building from above and the entrance up top, an Eastern Star fits perfectly. A star takes mathematical precision as is, and then the center is identical as well. And then if you were to rotate the building to where the entrance is on bottom, this symbol fits. Simply by making straight lines, using the corners and entrance as reference points. These are both just coincidences, of course. While we're in the neighborhood of this topic, ever wonder why the Marines go by devil dogs? Why not angel dogs? Or why dogs in general? And why is devil dog spelled backwards? God lived. And why do they say oorah? And in the army, they say hoorah. Because hoorah is the sun god with the serpent on its head, who we often see references to throughout symbolism. And then in the Navy, they say hoo-yah. Hoo-yah sounds a lot like mocking God. How many are aware that this is a thing? And many believe, including in Native American folklore, that the wisdom teeth is associated with personal growth and spiritual development. If that were true, removing them would likely make a person easier to control.
This is how demons created our monetary system. This mostly comes down to the Knights Templars, whose involvement in banking stemmed from their role as official guardians of pilgrims en route to the Holy Land. To protect pilgrims from robbery, the Templars devised a system where pilgrims could deposit money at a Templar preceptory before departing, and then withdraw funds at various Templar-affiliated locations along their journey to Jerusalem. Instead of carrying gold and provisions, pilgrims deposited money and received an encoded chit, a piece of paper and ciphered information about their deposit. This system gave rise to the word check in English and French. In fact, the word check came from the checkerboard cloth which Templar merchants and bankers used to square their accounts, to quote, check their assets and liabilities. Their banking system evolved into something akin to fractional reserve lending. As the Templars' powers grew, rumors circulated about the Templars' secret wealth, and accusations of idol worship and pacts with the devil further fueled animosity. Ultimately, King Philip IV of France had the Templars arrested, and under torture, some confessed to blasphemous acts and idol worship of a head called Baphomet. Some Templars further confessed that worshipping this demon brought them wealth, claiming that the head prophesied to them and granted them wisdom, made them rich, and quote, caused the land to germinate. Our entire banking system seemed to be derived from communication received by this demon Baphomet. The Templars were officially disbanded by the Pope on October 13th, 1307, and this is the reason why Friday the 13th is so infamous. Despite their downfall, the Templars' legacy lived on through the banking practices they pioneered, which laid the foundation for the modern financial systems of today.
Of course, hip-hop is not the only musical genre that has been infiltrated by the CIA, and certainly not the first. Many popular musicians of the second half of the 20th century, like David Crosby, John Phillips of the Mamas and the Papas, and Frank Zappa, grew up on military bases. They also resided in Los Angeles, in a military intelligence base on Laurel Canyon, where they were allegedly involved in the CIA's MKUltra program, a mind control operation whose real focus was to produce or at least manipulate the 60s counterculture scene. Jim Morrison was one of the earliest to arrive. He was son of the U.S. Navy admiral in command of the warships involved in the operation known as the Gulf of Tonkin incident of 1964, which was used to justify the U.S. involvement in the Vietnam War.
There's a conspiracy out there about Laurel Canyon. Now, Laurel Canyon's out in California, and there was a Air Force watchtower out there back in the late World War II area, back in the 1960s. And back then they had a studio there. Now this studio had a sound stage, a editing stage, a animation editing room. It had everything. Now this place, I guess, was used for the atomic testing footage. So all that footage was taken to this studio in Laurel Canyon and was edited there and was processed. So after they got this, they reviewed all the footage from the atomic testing. Now what's really strange about this is, a lot of musicians came out of this place back in the 1960s. Actually, all of those hippie musicians that you hear actually came from Laurel Canyon.
Well, have you seen this? A shocking discovery in an upscale Rhode Island neighborhood. Police finding human remains on the beach near pop star Taylor Swift's beachfront home. Police say they suspect no foul play after transferring the human leg bone to the medical examiner, as fears grow of a potential New England serial. Yikes.
New York City will be spraying non-toxic chemicals into the air. In subways, the Department of Homeland Security of Massachusetts helped design this. They're not releasing which chemicals, but they're telling us that it's a response plan for a chemical or biological attack. It's a way for the feds to test to see.
And this is in New York?
Yes. 120 locations across the city.
Oh, in the subways.
Yeah. Now, most of the locations will be above ground. Some of them will be below ground.
Wonder why they're isolating it to subways.
In one news thing I was watching, they were saying that they've already been doing this for years. but they just didn't say anything. But they weren't spraying these specific non-toxic chemicals. They're spraying another one to neutralize all the toxins from the subways. So they've already been doing this, but now they're spraying new chemicals into the subway airs inside the cars to battle biochemical.
People, we have just had a mass event, specifically an insane tornado in southeastern Kentucky. Now, we don't have a lot of facts, but I have done as much research as I can to give you the facts. So from what I found, the duration of the tornadoes on the ground in eastern Kentucky were brief touchdowns to several hours. Some were on the ground for over 2 hours in Somerset. Other reports indicated tornadoes were on the ground for at least 40 minutes, covering a distance of 86 miles. Now, a lot of reports are saying it started at midnight. It was a little bit before midnight. Watch this video.
But this is just another example of why we're preaching stay indoors. You cannot see what's going on. I have pulled up multiple cameras at this point. We had a Raimi camera. We looked at London, Corbin, looked at London on the I-75, and you cannot see.
It looks like we had a blue.
As you can see, this thing was massive. That was footage of a possible tornado in Pulaski County, which was posted on social media last night. And it ended up going into Laurel County, through London. Everything's gone. So far, it's confirmed that it has unalived at least 14 people. And the sun just came out, so they are looking through everything right now. It's not going to be good. Now, your average tornado is usually on the ground for about 10 minutes. The longest continuous path for a tornado on the ground is 219 miles, lasted 3.5 hours. This was a little over 2, people are saying. Mass destruction. And like I said, it happened at midnight. These things seem to happen at midnight all the time. This seems to be like the witching hour for natural disasters. But I mean, this was crazy. The National Weather Service's Storm Prediction Center reported 28 unconfirmed tornadoes on Friday. Not just in Kentucky, but Missouri, Illinois, Indiana, and New Jersey. But people, this is bad. Pray for the people of Eastern Kentucky, because I got a feeling there's not going to be much left.
This is not dirt. This is ice. This is our corn on top of 2 foot of ice. Hail. Two-foot deep ice and hail.
Punch me in the face and call me Jimmy. What the is this? UK researchers experiment with a solar geoengineering system called Satan. The same company that are set to spend 66 million on experiments to dim the sun. So the company that's going to be spraying our skies with reflective chemicals to reflect the sunlight back into space, which is going to affect the seasons, it's going to affect the crops, and it's going to affect the rain patterns. And they have literally called it stratospheric aerosol transport and nucleation. Satan. Now, if you're anything like me, you know that this guy right here has had ownership of the earth for a long time now. And if you're anything like me, you know that this guy's reign is coming to an end. It's called Satan's short season. And maybe at the end of his reign, he doesn't care about people knowing that he's ruling this world. In fact, it would make sense that at some point he would want the whole world to know that this guy is here and fully active. But nonetheless, even if he's not, it's very scary that a company that is literally affecting God's work and attacking the system is called Satan.
This video just caught something on camera that's never before been captured. We all know that when earthquakes happen, it's generally because of a big release on a fault, but it has never been caught on camera before until this video. Did you catch that? This video was from the 7.7 Myanmar, Thailand earthquake that took place back in March, and the fault rupture that we see in this video is consistent with the fault that actually slipped because it was a right lateral strike slip. It's crazy that it's taken until 2025 to finally capture something like this, but we finally now have a good idea of what a fault rupture actually looks like when an earthquake is in progress. Now, regardless of how incredible this video is, it does not take away from the fact that this earthquake was and still is, unfortunately, a major ongoing tragedy.
This is a UFO in 2025. I don't understand why this is not headlines everywhere, because this little orb, drone, UAP, whatever you want to call it, moving and grooving, vibing and sliding throughout Colombia until it hit a high power line and fell. That's right. We recovered this, whatever it is. No engine, no nothing. This was flying around Colombia, and then all these symbols. Why are we not sending our best archaeologists, scientists, whatever the that be exploring stuff like this to Colombia right this second from all across the world? This is supposed to be like some national treasure, Nicolas Cage type. You're supposed to be moving to this in vociferous pacing. And so far, this is what the scientists have returned with. We don't know the composition or how it was manufactured, but it appears to be an object intentionally built to house these small metallic components internally. Inside this little sphere here, there's more metallic components. Like, this was intentionally designed. They don't even know how to open it up. And you're telling me that we're not living in a sci-fi movie? Why is it not on CNN or Fox News? UFO found. Let's go check it out. I'm just so confused. This right here would have broke the entire world in 1970. Now it's just like, oh yeah, we found this sphere with designs on it that we don't even understand or can read. And it dropped. Now we got it. Cool stuff, right? No, yeah, this is groundbreaking. After doing x-rays, this is what they found. So like the seal, the circular area, has other dots inside of it. And they said the interior has other little small metallic spheres. What does it do? We don't even know how this works. And what does this mean? It's like almost like a metallic chip, but they're like, yeah, this looks like it was handmade and hand designed. By whose hands? What makes things even more Mephistophelian? Yeah, that's right. When you pour water on it, it just starts steaming. But then when you touch the sphere, it's still cold.
This is just insane. Monday night in Philadelphia, at a private UFO event, Luis Elizondo presented this photo. A photo showing a 600 to 1,000 foot silver UFO flying over the U.S. So this was taken by an airline pilot in 2021 while flying 21,000 feet above the Four Corners Monument. But this thing is gigantic.
Rumors are circulating that there's a group of Pentagon officials who believe that the UFOs are the Anunnaki returning. Now at this point they're just rumors, but before you completely dismiss it, let's actually think about this because it kind of tracks. The story of the Anunnaki is as old as ancient Sumeria, and they apparently came here to mine gold to help fix their atmosphere. What's so crazy to me is this story, what they proposed, would actually work to repair the atmosphere to block out harmful UV radiation. How would they have known this thousands of years ago? The idea was to come here, mine gold, bring it back to their planet, pulverize it, and disperse it throughout the atmosphere to reflect the harmful sunlight back. Conditions for mining on this planet were harsh, and so they genetically modified the primates that were already here to create us. That's the story, at least. Mixing primate DNA with Anunnaki DNA. If this UFO situation is the Anunnaki returning, after all this time, it could explain why there is apparently a spiritual aspect of all this UFO stuff.